Hey y'all! Pokemon Crystal using only one Swinub was pretty easy, barely any repercussions. So let's continue this week with a Pokemon that I think will rock the competition. This week, I'm gonna try to beat Pokemon Crystal using only one Sudowoodo. As usual, the rules are I can only use Sudowoodo in battle, and I can't use any items in battle. By the way, if you like this kind of content and want to see more, be sure to subscribe and check out more of these videos on my channel. Sudowoodo is best known for being that Pokemon that impedes your progress in Gold, Silver, Crystal and only lets you pass after squirting it with water using the squirt bottle. This is after you beat Whitney, of course, so if getting Sudowoodo wet was the solution, I should have just grabbed her and let her cry on it. Strange tangent aside, Sudowoodo has much better stats than I'm used to for a lot of these challenges. The attack and defense are actually great, and the HP and special defense are decent. Yeah, the speed is pretty terrible, but I can work with that. In terms of the move pool, it's got the stick of the litter. There's no shortage of great moves that we can use for this run, and I'm going to go out on a limb here and predict that Sudowoodo will do pretty well. Alright, let's do this. Off at Professor Elms Lab, I used the Universal Pokemon Randomizer to replace Totodile with Sudowoodo so that a rival will pick the Grass-type Chikorita. I like making these challenges harder than necessary. Sudowoodo is a rock type, weak to both water and grass, but Razor Leaf is more annoying to deal with thanks to the higher chance to critical hit, so it's going to require some strategy to avoid getting wrecked. Sudowoodo is a tiny tree of Japanese origin. Well, technically it's not a tiny tree, it's just pretending to be one. That's why I nickname ours Bonsai! Sudowoodo starts off with Rock Throw and Mimic, and if you've seen my Pokemon Red challenges, then you know how much I love Mimic. But it's mostly useful there for facilitating badge boost, and a lot less useful in this and later games. Rock Throw, however, is a great move to start with, and lets us beat up Bubs' Chikorita with ease. That will change as soon as it gets a grass move, but I'll leave that for later. After easily beating Bubs, I head straight to the Violet City Gym to take on the Flying-type Gym Leader Falkner. Sudowoodo is a Rock type which resists flying, but Falkner has Mud Slap on both of his birds. It's super effective, and while it does little damage thanks to our high defense, it lowers our accuracy, which is the bigger issue. Sudowoodo ate its carrots though, and we didn't miss our rock throws. You know what they say, even a blind squirrel finds an acorn sometimes. After defeating Falkner, I head to Azalea Town to take on Bugsy the Bug-type Gym Leader. Bug types get squashed by rocks, and Scyther is a flying type with paper-thin defense, so Sudowoodo cuts through Bugsy's team like a pair of scissors. Heck, a normal game of rock, paper, scissors is harder than this battle. And for the weeboos in my audience, Bugsy just got Jonken pwned. It's not all pun in games though, since after beating Bugsy, I have to take on the rival Bubs once again, and he's a real stick in the mud. His Bayleaf now has the grass move Razor Leaf, which has a high critical hit chance, and a critical hit Razor Leaf does most of our health. We can actually use this to our advantage though, since Sudowoodo has the move Flail. Flail does more damage the lower the user's health, so if we take a massive Razor Leaf, our Flail will do much more damage. Still, we can't quite knock out the Bayleaf at level 16, so I grab a few more levels. At level 18, we have a decent chance to survive 2 non-critical hit Razor Leafs, so I go for a Rock Throw first and then Flail, which works like a charm. And that's great. Although technically, I could have still lost this battle by getting flinched by Zubat's bite, but that would have been really unfortunate. Oh, sweet Douglas, that was a stretch. Next up is the Goldenrod City Gym and the battle with Whitney's Miltank. Color me impressed, because Sudowoodo had zero problems with this battle. We've got the fighting type move Low Kick, which makes quick work of Whitney's normal type Pokemon. Even her bulky Miltank goes down in just a few hits. Well, now that we're done with Whitney and her Miltank, I guess it's time to roll out. After having ourselves a Sudowoodo doppelganger situation on the way to Ecruteak City, I have to take on the rival Bubs once again at the Burnt Tower. Bubs' Ghastly is now the ever-annoying Haunter that loves to spam Curse, but we can take it out easily thanks to the TM for Dig that I taught to Sudowoodo. Dig is great for ground-type coverage and for getting Sudowoodo more in touch with its roots. We take down Bayleaf with our usual flail strategy, but then things go awry when Zubat critical hits a bite to knock us out. I take out some mandatory trainers on some of the other routes to grab a few extra levels. Even with the Haunter cursing us, we're able to win this battle on the second go round thanks to the extra points in speed letting us move before the Zubat. Man, I can't believe I'm in such a tizzy over a Zubat. Not exactly who I expected to sow the seeds of doubt in my mind. Next up is the Ecruteak City Gym Leader Morty. By the time I get through the trainers in his gym, Sudowoodo has learned Rock Slide, one of the best moves we can get. It's really perfect timing too, because it's strong enough to 1-hit KO Morty's ghosts, so when we get struck with a curse, we don't have to use the 2-turn dig, which would rack up extra curse damage. Hey, I'd much rather have the much stronger single-turn Earthquake, but I will not complain about it. Now that we can finally use Surf outside of battle, I set sail from the Arbor in Olivine City to head to the Cedarwood City Gym to take on the Fighting-type Gym Leader Chuck. This battle is pretty tough for Sudowoodo, because we're weak to multiple attacks. Primeape's Karate Chop can also critical hit, but just like with Bayleaf's Razor Leaf, we can use that to our advantage with Flail. Still, even with Poliwrath missing several dynamic punches, I lose this battle and have to reset multiple times. This is pretty laughable when you consider the fact that Poliwrath isn't even using Surf, which doesn't miss and would do way more damage. I guess Chuck was just sandbagging all along, so be warned fellow trainers, when it comes to facing tree-like Pokemon, Chuck may pull his punches. After beating Chuck, I head to take on Price, the Ice-type Gym Leader in Mahogany Town. By the time we get past all the Team Rocket Lake of Rage shenanigans, we're at level 36, and our Rock Slide does massive damage to all of Price's Pokemon. Since Ice is weak to Rock, I really didn't expect this battle to be difficult, but thank goodness Sudowoodo isn't a real tree. Otherwise, we'd wilt to the wintry cold of Price's Pokemon. And with Price out of the way, there's nowhere else to go but to take on Jasmine, the Steel-type Gym Leader at the Olivine City Gym. Just like a packet of trail mix, this battle was a mixed bag. Her Magnemites are like the sweet M&Ms going down in a single dig, but her Steelix, on the other hand, is like the tough, barely edible rye chip that they use for filler. We repeatedly lose to Iron-tail, which does over half of our health, and it doesn't help that even when we get close, she uses a Hyper Potion. It takes multiple tries before she misses Iron-tail enough times that Sudowoodo is able to get the dub. In the Team Rocket Radio Tower anime arc, we take on the rival Bubs in the basement underground. At this point, our level is climbing high as the sycamore grows, and we cut down Bubs' team faster than you can spell Pocahontas. In fact, that's more interesting than this battle. Let's go with this instead. Don't Google how to spell it, just try to get it right in the comments, and everyone upvote the spelling that you think is correct. Now we all get to chuckle at the confusion of any poor soul who clicked on this video and wondered why the comments are just filled with the word Pocahontas. Now it's time for the final Johto Gym Leader, Claire the Dragon-type trainer. Normally she's a really difficult battle, but we actually won this on the very first try. And that's despite the fact that she lowered our accuracy and paralyzed us. At this point in the run, I gotta say, I am genuinely impressed with how well Sudowoodo is performing. Especially when I expected Kingdra's Surf to chop our tree. So a first try victory is something I never saw coming. Before the Elite Four, we traversed Victory Road to take on our rival Bubs one last time. And along the way in the cave, we picked up the TM for Earthquake and taught it to Sudowoodo. And wow, is this an upgrade! It's much stronger than Dig, and doesn't require 2 turns to do damage. In fact, our moveset's kinda busted now. We've got Rock, Fighting, and Ground coverage, which on their own is insane, and when all else fails, we can just flail our way to victory. The only downside at this point is Sudowoodo's awful speed. Since Kadabra is able to outspeed and set up a Future Sight, Golbat is able to flinch us, we miss a Rock Slide, and then get taken out by Future Sight for our troubles. Do you know how badly things have to go for Future Sight to actually work out like that? On the next try, things go much better and we make it past the Trollbat to beat Bubs for the last time in this run. Jeez, what a pine in the neck! And look, I know that joke was under-elming, but it's the best icon ever. And somehow I made it worse. Here are the stats and moves at the Elite Four. Sudowoodo is at level 50, and while the speed and special defense are lacking, the move pool is truly like a dream. Sudowoodo is holding the Hardstone to make its rock moves hit even harder. And when you've got a rock hard plant, I call that Viagriculture. Up first is the Elite Four Will. This battle actually had me worried. His Executor and Slowbro are both very bulky and threaten us, plus we're slow as sin, giving him extra turns to attack. What you're about to see is the first attempt that I made against Will, and it does end in victory, but realistically, that was due to luck. Rock Slide is only 90% accurate, which might seem weird for a move that's only 75 base power, but this is to balance the fact that it has a 30% chance to flinch the target. This is key, because Slowbro can easily end the battle with Surf, so we need to get 2 flinches in order to win, or as I like to call it, a buy one get one tree. It's not exactly honorable, but after all, I'm kinda like cheap plywood. I'm known for being a bit naughty. Next up is Koga, the Poison and Bug type Elite Four member. I accidentally forgot to restore Rock Slide's BP, but it ended up not mattering. Earthquake hits poison types for super effective damage, and it even does decent neutral damage against Fortress. Things go off the rails though once we get to the Venomoth. It confuses and badly poisons us, stacking the odds heavily in Koga's favor. It gets even worse once Crobat sets up double teams to raise its evasion, yet somehow we still manage to win. The odds of hitting that last Rock Slide was only 54%, which is basically the same probability of hitting a Dynamic Punch. And it's way higher than the probability of me not making awful puns in one of my videos. Next up is the Fighting type Elite Four member Bruno. Before the battle, I switch around some items to give the Quick Claw to Sudowoodo. We're weak to fighting, and we're guaranteed to take at least 1 Mach Punch from the Hitmonchan, an Earthquake from Onix, and Cross Chop from Machamp, which I already know is going to be a huge problem. The best way to avoid taking damage is to move first, but Sudowoodo has terrible speed, hence the Quick Claw. It's a small chance to activate each turn, but it's better than nothing. Okay, I'll admit it. That was a corny joke. I make it through most of Bruno's Pokemon with the sheer brute force of our Earthquake, but of course I get to the Machamp and as expected, it's not a good time. I lose right away to Cross Chop. You know what, Bruno? You're a real son of a birch, you know that? On the next attempt, I get the Quick Claw activation against the Onix, which lets us outspeed, meaning we don't take the extra damage from Earthquake. With this, when we reach the Machamp, we have enough health to survive a non-critical hit Cross Chop on just a sliver. This lets us finish him off with a massively strong 150 base power Flail, and I'm so glad to be done with that. I don't like having to tree-peat battles with Bruno. Next up is the Dark type Elite Four member Karen. This battle is always super trolly, and this time is no different. Her Scumbreon lowers our accuracy, but despite that, we keep landing our moves. All is going according to plan until we get to the Houndoom and miss our one chance to Earthquake. That is, of course, until the gods of Quick Claw grace Sudowoodo with their divine benevolence, and we land a final Earthquake to win the battle. You know, that was pretty lucky, but sometimes luck is the best strategy against Karen, and you just gotta take it or leave it. Well, that was a pretty crazy first try victory against Karen, but now it's time for the champion battle with the last member, Lance the Dragon Master. And you want to talk about tough? This was tough. Sudowoodo is just so dang slow, and we take multiple beefy attacks from Lance's Pokemon. I had to reset a bunch before we got the win, and you'll see in the footage where we do that it was mostly due to a few weird quirks. First, we got a Quick Claw activation against one of the Dragonite and the Charizard. On top of that, one of the other Dragonite goes for a Safeguard instead of attacking, so Lance is throwing us a lot of treebies here. It's also a good thing that Rock Slide is strong against all of Lance's Pokemon because it gave us just enough firepower to push through his team without having to level up and add more rings to Sudowoodo's trunk. And with Lance defeated, we have become the champion of the Pokemon League, but you know the run isn't over yet. I'm always going to consider beating the final trainer Red as the true ending, unless of course a Pokemon is just impossibly bad, which Sudowoodo is clearly not. With the Elite Four defeated, I hop on the SS Aqua and sail on over to Kanto to take on their 8 gym leaders to earn the right to challenge Red atop Mount Silver. The first 7 gym leaders were not much trouble at all, so now it's time to take on the final Kanto gym leader, Blue. During half of my attempts, I lose to Solar Beam from Executor, and if we're not getting beam creamed, there's still a Gyarados to deal with. Alakazam's Reflect halves physical damage, which lets Gyarados survive Rock Slide so it can hit us with a Hydro Pump for most of our health. Hooray! So I purposefully stall for Leftovers recovery against Rhydon and then manage to get to the Gyarados with full health. We take a Hydro Pump, it does most of our hit points, but we knock out the Gyarados just as Reflect wears off. With one turn of Rain Dance left, Arcanine's Flamethrower damage is halved, and since Reflect just expired, we're able to hit it with a fully powered Rock Slide to end the battle. Talk about impeccable timing! Alright, no more beating around the bush. With all 16 badges in hand, I lumber all the way over to Mount Silver until I reach the final Trainer Red for the climactic battle. And we're only at level 65, which is pretty low. And it's also not nearly strong enough. Oh, you wanted a tough battle? Well, axe and you shall receive. Even with the incredible stat boosting move Curse and the notoriously strong rollout, I can't get past the Espeon. If we were a higher level, I'm sure we could do it, since the speed lowering downside of Curse doesn't really matter for a slow Pokemon like Sudowoodo, but it's just not working. I've retried this battle so many times, I got Deja Vu. But even with the move Curse, Sudowoodo takes way too much damage. Our physical defense is the greatest Red's ever seen in one of these challenges, but that doesn't matter much when most of his Pokemon are special attackers. So I replace Curse and Rollout with Dynamic Punch and Protect respectively. Dynamic Punch helps to deal with the Snorlax before it can paralyze us with Body Slam. Protect helps us to stall for turns not only for Leftovers recovery, not only to dodge Solar Beams from Venusaur, but also to stall out the Reflect from Espeon, which halves the amount of damage we can do. It's super important that we get to the Blastoise with full health because we can't really avoid taking a rain boosted Surf, which almost knocks us out. Snorlax survives a Dynamic Punch only to knock itself out in confusion. Oh my goodness, poor Red just watched all of his Pokemon get massacred by a Maple. So I do the only merciful thing and put the Charizard out of its misery with Rock Slide. After all, if the roles were reversed, I know Redwood Forests. Are you all tired of these tree puns yet? I know I'd be sick of more. And with that, the challenge is over. I am honestly surprised to say, with the exception of the Red battle, Sudowoodo really breezed through this challenge run. It may not be the most popular Pokemon, but in the end, it did just fine. And before I log off, I want to thank you for making it to the end of this video. These videos are a lot of fun, but also a lot of work, so I really do appreciate it. There's a playlist on my channel where you can find the rest of my Pokemon challenge videos if you want to check those out as well. And if you like this kind of content and want to see more, be sure to subscribe and enable notifications so you'll know right away the next time one of these episodes is uploaded. And if you want early access to these videos and to have your name listed in the credits, consider becoming a member. And let me know in the comments what other Pokemon you want to see, and I'll probably do it. I'm also planning to do a challenge run in the Pokemon trading card game for the Game Boy Color pretty soon. It should come out sometime in September. As for next week, I'm going to try to beat Pokemon Red using only one Paris. Anyways, until next time, bye!